Amazon Prime Day is a chance to get a lot of things that are helpful for your family court case at a lower cost. While you're picking up things that are more affordable because of Prime Day, you're also able to get things that will help you with your custody case. On our resources page, you are going to see that we've got a lot of books that we recommend that will help you in your battle, that will help you in your recovery, that will help you do the kind of parenting that the courts like to see. For anyone who wants to get a leg up with and for their lawyer, to get them to understand better how to circumvent what's going on, or for anyone who wants to become an activist, which I only ever recommend you do once your custody battle is done. Barry Goldstein has written The Quincy Solution. I'm a fan of a lot of Barry's work. He's a real ally. He does an excellent job. If any of you ever have a chance, as a matter of fact, to hear him speak, I would recommend that you do, but he's available also to help out. But I want to just talk about what he likes to talk about whenever he's doing his work. He's a big fan of talking about the Saunders study, and I do recommend that quite a bit. Let me read a couple of things. This is just in one chapter on pages 151. He talks about the critical new research with the Saunders study. And here's an interesting thing that he talks about here. Evaluators working for the county courts made better recommendations than private evaluators. I love that he points that out. And here's an interesting piece where he says, harmful outcome cases are always wrong. Dr. Saunders and his colleagues looked at extreme outcomes in which an alleged abuser received custody, and safe, protective mothers, who usually provided most of the child care, were limited to supervised or no visitation. In an earlier article, I had analyzed similar results and referred them as custody visitation scandal cases. These outcomes are always harmful to children because the damage of separating a child from the primary attachment figure, a harm that includes increased risk of depression, low self-esteem, and suicide when older, is greater than any benefit the court thought it was providing. This is the kind of book that your lawyer should be aware of. Obviously, lawyers are not likely to read these things, so I recommend that you get it, you outline some passages, you refer back to the Saunders study. For anybody who's met Marley McLean, it's quite a pleasure. She's a powerhouse. And she wrote a book known as Prosecuted But Not Silenced. This book, and you can find it on our resources page and get a hold of it there. I want to give you a taste of this book in just a couple of sections, just a couple of lines. She says, a mother's first instinct is to protect her child. And when the means and the power to do this are stripped unjustly from a mother, there are no words to describe the constant heartache that is felt as each day passes by. She goes on to talk about what she's doing. She's talking about her journey and her techniques as she dealt with the fact that she had a daughter who was sexually abused, that the court took away from her. At one point, she says, I had always felt that I was an independent woman. I'd always prided myself in being a strong woman. But during these first 8 years of my marriage, I lived in fear of Derek's mood swings and emotional abuse, walking on eggshells, waiting for his next outrageous anger attack. So she goes through what it was like to be with them. It's a journey that I think many of us will understand only too well. But she talks about some techniques that she uses to actually help her as she's going through it. And I think it's an inspirational thing for people who are feeling hopeless at where they're at in their journey. So I do recommend this read. People get through it quite quickly in spite of the fact that it's got quite a few pages. It's a good lengthy book and well worth the read. One of the books that I used to give to every client as soon as they would start with us, until we got to a point where we had too many clients, was The Art of War. Now, there are a bunch of translations of this, but this is the translation that we really like. You'll find it on our resources page, so you don't have to figure out which translation it is. But the thing I like about Sun Tzu, when I give it to clients, when I tell clients to get it, it's because if you go through what is a prose type poetry, you suddenly understand what strategy is supposed to look like. It really helps you understand that you got to win the war before you actually wage the war. Just as an example, Sun Tzu said the good fighters of old first put themselves beyond the possibility of defeat and then waited for an opportunity of defeating the enemy. And it really goes along with part of what we do, which is to say, prepare everything first before you go in and before you start your custody battle. We do recommend this. Incredibly inspiring. It's also, if you're really thinking about how do I figure out how to do this and what strengths do I need from it, we really love this particular translation of The Art of War. You can find this on our resources page to make things easier for you in case your library does not have it.